This was proposed back in 2006. Do you remember?
I don't recall, but I can't be exact.
Okay.
You mean a prior administration, whether they spent any money looking into the gem site?
Yeah,
I don't recall that.
I thought, and I looked for video. It'd take me forever to do so. But if I'm not mistaken, I thought we spent somewhere in the neighborhood of 16,000 or tens of thousands to look into the gems feasibility at the time.
I don't recall that money being spent, but that's, let's say it was, the administration didn't do that. I don't recall that coming before council from a prior administration to spend money.
Okay, well, if that might be the case, it's something that we can look into, because rather than spending money again for the same thing, we spent a good penny to do so previously. I'm sure their findings will be not much different than they would be now, plus or minus a couple flowers.
Tom, could you double check that for us? Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no other hands, we'll close the first public portion. Ordinances. Ordinance is a second reading, and this ordinance will have a public hearing. Ordinance O-12-01. Refunding bond ordinance providing for the refunding of the Township's outstanding callable general obligation bond series 2003, dated March 1st, 2003, authorizing the issuance of up to $6 million of general obligation refunding bonds of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, New Jersey, to finance the cost thereof, making certain determinations and covenants in connection therewith, and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. As this states, this is a refunding bond ordinance that will be saving the township approximately $215,000. Tom, do you want to add anything to that?
I don't know if the mayor wanted to comment.
No.
In my mayor's report.
Okay. Now, it does represent savings. It's 3.8% savings on the par amount, which the requirement under LFB, local finance board, is that it has to have at least 3% savings after net of all costs.
And this is 3.8.
3.8, yeah.
We'll now have a public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing. Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gentek?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotto?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. The next two ordinances are ordinances of first reading. Ordinance O-12-03. Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester to adopt a fully amended Chapter 68 entitled Rent Stabilization Ordinance of the Township of Gloucester. This ordinance amends the administrator's ability to function with more notice to the tenants and giving the administrator the ability to inspect needed repairs. Dave, anything else to add to that?
No, it's purely administrative type of amendments to the existing ordinance and putting it into a new form.
Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes, I would like to thank Mr. Agar for his input into these two ordinances. I vote yes.
Mrs. Gentek?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotto?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Next ordinance, ordinance O-12-04. Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester to adopt a fully amended Chapter 68A entitled Manufactured Home Park Rent Stabilization Ordinance for the Township of Gloucester. As this title states, this is an offshoot of the Ordinance 68, but this includes the manufactured home parks such as Shenandoah. And again, this gives the administrator the ability to function with more notice to the tenants and give that person the ability to inspect repairs. Dave, anything other?
No, the changes and amendments are exactly the same in both ordinances.
Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Ginta? Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
No,
It's an ordinance.
that's the big report.
We have a walk-on bid report. This is a request for the redeveloper and developer, qualifications and proposal for managed affordable family housing and purchase of premises block 14102, lot 17. This is just to approve an RFQ, RFP.
Right, the
And
bids-
accept the report.
Accepting it,
So
yeah.
that's the bid report, that's correct. You'll notice from the report prepared by the clerk that the proposals were received by the deadline, which was Friday, the 8th at 11 a.m. We publicly opened the bid and as well as the qualifications February 8th.
You said Friday.
I'm sorry, Wednesday, February 8th at 11 a.m. As the report shows, there were 3 responses, and the qualifications were included in all 3 responses, and the property was open for auction, and the bids were received. That's correct.
Also, this is just to accept the proposals. This is not a decision on who we're going to award it to. It's just to accept the proposal. I want to bring it to council's attention that on the conifer, it says initial bid of 1.5 million, and is 1.8 million. So again, it's just to accept the bids. Motion to adopt or approve the report.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Ginta?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. We now have resolution of consent agenda. Any council person wishing to remove any of these resolutions, please let me know now.
Mr. President, I make a motion to accept. I'll second that.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Ginta? Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
45, resolution of the Township Council, the Township of Gloucester, Camden County, New Jersey, authorizing the election of the Black Horse Pike Regional School District School Board as the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November.
This resolution, as it states, will move the election of the school board to the November election, general election period. Just for everyone's information, the Black Horse Pike Regional School District just recently passed a resolution to accept that change. And we all already know that the local Gloucester Township School Board has done the same. So we'll have a motion to accept this resolution.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
So I think that this is good to show our support that we move the election to November. I think it's good for the township and also for the school district. I vote yes.
Mrs. Ginta?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
46, resolution authorizing appointing members to the Gloucester Township Blackwood Lake Advisory Committee.
This resolution appoints Monique Stoneman to a 2-year term to serve on the Blackwood Lake Advisory Committee. Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Ginta?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
47, resolution appointing members to the Gloucester Township Historic and Scenic Preservation Committee.
This resolution authorizes the appointment of Thomas Pinellini to a 5-year term to serve on the Historic and Scenic Preservation Committee. Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Ginta?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
48, Resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, New Jersey, authorizing and improving the issuance and sale of up to $2,500,000 of bonds of the Township of Gloucester, consisting of the Township's General Obligation Bond Series 2012A and the Township's General Obligation Bond Series 2012B, authorizing the execution and delivery of the loan agreements to be executed by the Township in each of the New Jersey Environmental Infrastructure Trust and State of New Jersey, acting by and through the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, further authorizing the execution and delivery of an escrow agreement, all pursuant to the 2012 New Jersey Environmental Infrastructure Trust financing program, and determining certain other matters in connection therewith.
This resolution, as stated, utilizes the New Jersey Environmental Infrastructure Trust financing program, and this will help the township make various improvements to Lake Renee. Tom, anything to add to that?
And Cherry.
And Cherrywood. Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gentek?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
And Mr. Bean Keating. 49, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, New Jersey, authorizing the preparation and distribution of offering documents in connection with the sale of the Township's General Obligation Refunding Bond Series 2012, authorizing the issuance, sale, and award of said bonds, making certain determinations and covenants in connection therewith, and authorizing certain actions related thereto.
This resolution allows the township to do the refunding of the bonds that we just passed with the ordinance. Tom, anything else to add to that?
This allows for the preparation and transfer of the offering statement, which must be done each time we do a bond.
Thank you, Tom. Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gentek?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bean Keating.
Yes. Motions?
RA 1302 GTGAA, 1303 Berlin Township Peace, 1304 PTA Our Lady of Guadalupe, 1305 and 1306 Our Lady of Guadalupe, and 1307 Glendora Fire Company.
Motion to approve.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gentek?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bean Keating.
Yes. I do not believe we have any GTE Gov access questions. So, Mayor, your report.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President, members of council. Let me begin my remarks by thanking Councilman Mercado for his efforts and the committee's efforts. This past Saturday, as you know, Gloucester Township, as part of our Black History Month commemoration, invited our residents to the screening of a movie called Red Tails, which was really a very good historical movie about the Tuskegee Airmen and their efforts during World War II. So thank you, Councilman, for your efforts in that regard. It was a very, very, not only a great movie, but it was a very, very, I think, a poignant part of our Black History Month celebration here in Gloucester Township, so thank you. Also, thank you for the refinancing. As you know, we are constantly moving forward, looking at ways to save money. And thank Tom and Christy for their work in always looking at our outstanding debt, refinancing that, and with this refinance, we were able to save $215,000. If you look at over the last 3 years, we've been we would have saved close to $1 million in refinancing. So great job, Tom and Christy. Also want to announce that this Wednesday we are working with 7 other communities in South Jersey here in Camden County, and we'll be making an announcement of our joint purchasing of a e-ticketing system. The system is now computer-driven. Currently, the officers write citations by hand, and that is not only time-consuming, but it is costly. So we have gone in with 7 other communities to host here in Gloucester Township the e-ticketing computer system, which will, again, save us money, help our officers, saving more time in issuing a citation. So that e-ticketing program will be announced this week. Also, we have the Citizens Police Academy that will be starting on March the 22nd. As you know, we've expanded that program to include 16-year-olds, so it's open to the public, of course, and anyone wishing to sign up for that program can go to our website and sign up. Also, we have the Police Awards Night. As you know, we have an appreciation night each year, and that is set for May the 2nd at 7 p.m. Chief, where is that? At the, I'm sorry.
Camden County College.
At Camden County College, Dennis Flyer Theater, and that is, of course, open to the public. And then lastly, on February the 27th, which is our last meeting of the month, we are having Black History Month commemoration and awards night. So that will be here at 7:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Now I have the second public portion. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand, come to the mic. Mr. Pitt.
Hi, Jim Kibblestis, Ariel. Just to follow up, I'm sorry my word search wasn't working when I went through the agenda, but on the GEMS thing, going back in my memory, which is not too good sometimes, I believe there was a agreement for Remington Vernick, and Mr. Cantwell will probably follow up on that they were going to do a research on GEMS for solar. And I agree that if that was done, we should use that as a base to begin the further.
If you want me to address that, we did do some a draft report on possibilities of what could be done for GEMS landfill 3-4 years ago. And that is the basis of where we're going forward. What we're doing here, though, isn't a design for a solar system. What the township is looking at is attracting developers and doing solar projects on GEMS landfill. In order to do that, wanting to use the redevelopment process, because obviously it's an area that's not going to be developed by anybody in GEMS landfill. So we're going to the planning board to have it declare, and there's a process in state law, state statute, we're having to declare an area needing redevelopment, and then come up with a finalized redevelopment plan based on that declaration from the planning board. And then with that redevelopment plan, then we can start looking at finishing what we had started looking at a couple of years ago.
Right, because I think a couple of years ago, we were going to fund it and actually transmit the electricity to the public works or something like that.
Doesn't quite allow us to do that. We
Right.
need to get in and outside development, much like the town is doing with some of the other sites in town. We always
Okay, but that report is available to whoever's doing
It
this.
is. It was only got to the draft stage when we realized we were having some problems with proceeding in that direction, so we stopped that and we stopped spending township money at that time. But that is the basis of where we'll go forward from here.
Okay, very good. And Mr. Mercado, follow up on the Tuskegee Airmen. History Channel has been running about an hour and a half, 2 hour show on them. The actual footage, fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Barrett.
Good evening, Council. Joshua Berry, 2033 Barticus Drive. Tonight is the culmination of many months of volunteering work from myself and a number of my fellows who were circulating our pay-to-play petitions. I'm here tonight to formally present them to you, Mr. Council President, and to the clerk. I'm not going to get any fire and brimstone. Instead, I would just read our cover letter. Madam Clerk, enclosed is a packet consisting of approximately 1,268 signatures of registered Gloucester Township voters in a set of petitions in support of a pay-to-play reform ordinance following the guidelines of NJSA 4069 Alpha TAC 184 et al., commonly referred to as the INR section of the Faulkner Act. Following the November 2011 general election, the clerk of Camden County certified the voting count at 10,474 voters. The 1,268 signatures comprise approximately 12.1% of that count. Per the Faulkner Act, this is an initiated ordinance comprising more than 10% but less than 15% of the voter count. We are respectfully submitting these petitions for your certification. We are submitting these after business hours during a council meeting. Because we are submitting these after business hours during a council meeting, we are treating these as being submitted on the business day of February 14th, 2012. Per the Faulkner Act, you are allowed to use any rational means to certify each name. However, the INR process is a cornerstone of the Faulkner Act and is to be interpreted liberally to include citizen involvement in the governmental process per Neversall versus Warwick. Sorry on the pronunciations of some of these names. Signatures cannot be considered stale or outdated, and any valid past or present address within a 3-year window for a voter shall qualify per D'Ascencio versus Benjamin. Assuming the petitions can be certified, the following timelines shall apply per Faulkner. The official submission to you, Madam Clerk, February 14th. 20 calendar days for you to certify is March 5th. Upon certification, you must notify council immediately, which would be at the March 5th workshop. There is then 20 calendar days for council to approve the ordinance or vote it down. Since the March 5th, 2012 meeting is after hours, the business date of the notification is therefore March 6th, which makes the March 26, 2012, the 20th day for council to take action, which means at the March 12th meeting, the clerk will read the ordinance into record and it is considered to have a first reading without a need for vote. At the March 26th meeting is when you will hold a public hearing and then vote. If you do not pass the ordinance in the same substantial form by that meeting, there is then a 10-day calendar window for the committee of petitioners to withdraw these petitions. Assuming it is not past council and the petitioners have not withdrawn it, this 10-day period ends April 6, 2012, and the ordinance is immediately sent to the county clerk for inclusion in the November 2012 general election. Signed, Joshua Berry, Tom Crone, Elizabeth Holzman, Don Choice, and Robbie Traylor. Again, I want to thank publicly a large number of people who have helped us on this effort. Most of our collections happened in the heat of last summer when I know some of you were out campaigning and I was avoiding bee swarms in some vacant homes. So this is a joyous, happy time. It shows that citizens can get involved and can make a difference. Whether you agree with this proposal or not, the fact is that citizens are getting involved. We are exercising our rights under Faulkner, and we're becoming a part of the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Anyone else? Yes.
Good evening, Council. My name is Russell Burt. I live at 51 Hilltop Avenue. I just wanted to give my opinion and actually a rebuttal to the petition just recently submitted by Mr. Berry. I had stood here before and said that I oppose it. There's many things that I agree with Mr. Berry about, and his concern for pay-to-play is one of them. And as he had brought out in points previously, particularly the amount of money that our candidates have received from professional services under our engineer, Remington Vernick, and our insurance services. But my concern is that we, as an individual municipality, may jeopardize some of our shared services contracts if the other municipalities don't adopt the same rules that we do. I know that there are overriding uniform contract codes as well as federal laws that the, all parties named, what are you going to say? All parties named except for Gloucester Township, who has adopted something other than the other parties joined in the contract. Something else that I saw in the verbiage of the resolution is that it particularly is pointing out PACs, political action committees. That is seriously a concern because of the federal laws governing PACs. Recently, there was a Supreme Court ruling about not being able to limit the amount that PACs pay towards political campaigns under the free speech amendment in our Constitution. And unless we can specifically prove that, as contended, that the PAC that has been contributing significantly to our candidates here is in fact controlled by Mr. Norcross, which means we also have to prove that he is in violation of the rules concerning PACs, then we have no business trying to restrict the PACs. I believe that the federal law will supersede. So I believe that we as a municipality could subject ourselves to legal challenges in particularly that area. What I feel may be partially a solution is, as a matter of conscience, our candidates, our elected officials, choose to limit the amount that we receive from professional services, because it doesn't look right, in my mind. But also in regard to Connor Strong as our insurance services provider, and in saying this, I actually do a lot of business with them and could jeopardize my relationship. But the one proposal that the Citizens Action Committee promotes for lowest cost insurance contract is something that we should consider, and may help resolve the perception that there improprieties here. But both of those firms are, I'm aware of both of them, and they are highly professional and highly competent, and should be able to win the bids just on their merits and their abilities. And I just feel that, in our candidates receiving that much money from them just doesn't look right. But as far as us passing this resolution in Gloucester Township, I think it's a very bad idea. I think Citizen Action Committee should really be taking it to our legislators and amending the current state pay-to-play laws to include professional services. Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Russ.
Oh, I did have a question for our legal. Who writes the referendum? Is it that it will be taken exactly as? And I asked that because I recently I have a lot of municipalities as clients, and I went to one just last week, and they made a change that affects them legally with state law and the IRS. And I asked them why they did that. And they said, well, the person who brought it to us, it made it sound good. Well, did they tell you this, this, and this? Well, no. So now they've made a decision that it'll take me a year to reverse and get them in compliance because the person who presented it made it sound too good. So the question is, is there somebody on the township's legal team that...
The statute's an exact statute. It requires the petition to be circulated with the form of the ordinance that's proposed. Because this is an initiated ordinance. It's not an ordinance that's coming from council or government. It's an ordinance that's being submitted by petition. So the petition on its face has to have the complete text of the proposed ordinance.
Okay, so it will be verbatim. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Russ. Darren?
Aaron Gladden, 44 Greensway. I've been involved in this, and I understand the gentleman before me. I didn't get his name. I just got in here late. I understand his worries, but it's a reprimand by the citizens, and we should be able to vote on it as citizens. You know what I mean? Some of us sit on council. You had the opportunity. You know what I mean? And nobody gave any kind of answer on do they support it or do they not support it. Now it's up to the citizens to take, because this government is by we the people. So I respect what his opinion is. I'm not on the right side, but that's it. One other thing, these red-light camps. I did on my own personal study around town, talking to individuals, young, old, people that have been here a long time, people that just moved here. The one cause of accidents is being distracted. Now, if you guys would like to drive up and down this road, right up here, Blackwood Clemington Road, and you see that light flash all the time, I know tons of people. I'm distracted by it. My wife's distracted by it. My brother's distracted by it. My niece is distracted by it. Everybody's saying that they're distracted by it because they don't know what they're. Am I getting flashed? Is that right? You know, what happened? So we're talking about safety. There's your point. It should come down. Number two, I heard they were, a couple years ago they were approved, right? Do you know what year they were approved?
Well, they went into service during the summer of 2010. The approval, I can't specifically.
Probably 2008, 2009, around now. Now, I've heard somebody during minutes and meetings, and if I get a hold of it, that we would generate money from this. Just think about that. Thank you, and have a nice night.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ray?
Good evening again, Council. Ray Poldor, Ariel. Question on your walk-on resolutions and the procedure thereof. When we have walk-on resolutions that come about, put a yellow piece of paper up on the bulletin board. Isn't there a possibility that we can get those walk-on resolutions put with the public's copies of the agenda? The only way that the public's going to get a view of that or description of that is by checking that out. But it seems to me that if there's 11 copies for council, there could also be an extra copy or extra available copy to the residents when a walk-on resolution comes about. Is that a doable thing?
We'll take a look at it, Ray, and I'll talk to the clerk, and if it can be done, I'm sure she'll do it.
Okay. I did not expect to be talking about the proposed ordinance for pay-to-play, but when the gentleman come up and addressed that, if there's a concern for our township and shared service agreements with any other town because of a pay-to-play ban that we're going to adopt, or we're hopefully going to adopt, I think it would be, instead of worrying about what other towns are going to do with the possibility of our passing that ordinance, it'd be more suggested that other towns, I mean, what town would not want to pass a ban on pay-to-play? It would work more against them. I don't think we should fear one bit moving forward with this proposal. Let's not worry about the small towns that were involved with shared services. I'm sure that they would find great common sense in adopting what we feel is a positive thing. Can't be negative by worrying about what our shared services are going to be about. I would like to think that this township will handle that in a positive way. Any comments?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barry?
Good evening, folks. Joshua Berry again. Russell, I want to thank you for coming up to speak. This is part of the dialogue that should happen and has to happen. By the way, I do believe even when people disagree with me, I want to have that debate. Because of some of our debate last summer, I actually worked with the Citizens Campaign with some of their attorneys. We modified this ordinance to protect us when it comes to shared services. I actually gave all my copies of the ordinance to vote tonight, so I don't have the exact language in there, but it does protect us if we have this ordinance passed and one of the smaller towns don't. but something to think about if shared services is a concern. Cherry Hill has this, and we don't. So then, are we jeopardizing ourselves in a shared service with them? And to Mr. Polidor's point, we want to be the leaders. We're the second biggest town in the county. They should be worried about us, not us about them. When it comes to the PACs and the PAC limits, Mr. Burt is right that there are issues on the federal level. However, at the state level, we have our ELEC, which does place absolute contribution limits to PACs and campaigns and parties and candidates by any type of organization. This ordinance would not affect that. Anyone could still give however much they wanted up to the ELEC amount to any PAC or campaign. The difference is now if they go above a certain threshold, they would be automatically disqualified from being a vendor to Gloucester Township. So again, anyone can give however much they want, again, up into the limits we already have. What this does is saying we are not going to give contracts to our campaign donors, but they can donate all they want. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Judy Jones in 625 Chatham Road. I live in Bromore. I'm here tonight to find out more about the solar panels that are going to be put on the Corning parcel of land behind my house. The last time I came to a meeting, I understand it was approved to put solar panels on the Chew School. But I think I saw something. I noticed that they're going to now put panels in the field. So I just want to know the status of that. Is it a done deal? I didn't pay extra money to 30-some years ago to back up to solar panels, and I went through this before with the Corning parcel and all that business. So I just want to know more about it. Is it a done deal to put solar panels in that field, or is it not? Or are they going to go on the school, or what is the status?
I'm not 100%. Mayor, do you have
Yeah, I mean, we have entered into an agreement, we did a bid to put the solar panels out there. We've entered into an agreement with Project Navigator, I believe is the company that was awarded the proposal. What they are doing now is really, in essence, a feasibility study to see if they can connect to the grid. You have to take the energy that is being generated from the solar fields and then connect that to the grid, really to the wires. And we're also fueling Chew School with the energy. Chew School will purchase, under the proposal, energy from the solar field for 5 cents a kilowatt, which will dramatically decrease their cost of utilities. And then the Project Navigator will lease the property from the township for a monthly fee. So to answer your question directly, it is not necessarily a done deal, because what they have to do is connect to the grid. They have to get permission from the grid operators, very large utility companies, in order to sell, in essence, their energy back to them. But that is an ongoing process, so it's not a done deal, but it is heading in that direction.
Well, as a homeowner that I paid extra for that a long time ago, how's that going to benefit me? Are they going to pay part of my electric bill?
No, they're not. In fact, I believe we met several years ago when I was on council. In fact, I think I was at your house, and we helped solve the problem with the fence behind your home.
Yes, that was great.
So I'm very aware of your situation, I'm aware of the neighbor's situation there. But I don't think that they're not going to pay your utility costs for that. So I guess what you're saying is that you don't want to stare at
well, yes, the bulk of the trees for that parcel of land have been removed.
Yeah, I have a meeting tomorrow. I meet every other week regarding it to get status updates on these projects. So I'll bring that concern up to the committee and see what we can do to help with that.
Well, is the whole field going to be filled with panels, or?
You recall, it's not the whole field.
I mean, is it going to be? What am I going to be looking at?
That project's being handled with Blue Sky. I don't know what the final design was on the field. I'm sure there's a buffer being provided, but I don't know
probably going to be within that fenced area, so it won't be,
Oh,
we
definitely.
moved that fence, if you remember, further away, so it's not going to be near your house.
So, will this be posted on the website if I check the website?
No, I'll keep you informed. Why
Okay.
don't you give me your number?
Okay.
And then we'll keep you informed.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. What do you want to come here now? Get right here.
Yes, sir.
Paul DiBartolo, Ohio Avenue, Blackwood. I'd like to address my concerns to the council over pay-to-play. I'm kind of new in township politics. I've just waded in lately. And frankly, I wasn't in on the pay-to-play petitions, but I'm kind of surprised that it's even a question today. And I'd like to encourage council to really give this consideration. I'm presently reading a book called Throw Them All Out by Peter Schweitzer, which documents all the insider trading that our Congress and Senate have exempted themselves from. We're talking about people who come into office worth about 250 grand and leave worth 11 million. And in this day and age, I would think with the atmosphere we have, that should be something we should be going after so that our elected officials can be above reproach. And I would encourage you all, I would encourage you to read the book and to give this some serious consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Seeing no other hands, we'll close the second public portion. Calling of directors in council, please.
Mr. Maka.
Nothing reported this time.
Mr. Lechner.
Council President, and public, I just wanted to let you know that a couple weeks ago on Saturday, the township hosted the New Jersey Planning Officials, which is a public body of the state and requires through the DCA all planning boards, zoning board members be trained. And just wanted to report that all our board members, except with the exception of the two recent appointees, have all gone through the training. There's also a couple of members of the public here going through the training. We hosted about plus or minus 50 attendees throughout the county. Mr. Cantwell, Remington and Vernick, Bob Perry, myself were all certified instructors. Frank Tedesco, the attorney for Newman Gloucester Associates, all volunteer our time. Took place on Saturday. It's a 4-hour course and they are tested. And just wanted to let you know that we do host that every year. And all our members of all our boards are certified.
Thank you, Mr. Lecker.
Chief Earl.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Mr. Carlemere. Mr. Cardis. Mr. Hutchison.
Thank you everybody for coming and staying here this evening. Special kudos to Orlando for putting that event together on Saturday. It was enlightening.
Mr. Schmidt.
I would like to thank everyone for coming out this evening and staying. Also, my son would like to thank Orlando. He enjoyed Red Tails, but he did hide his eyes during the kissing scene.
Mr. Seiler.
Yes, I would also like to thank Councilman Leonard for putting on a movie last weekend. I received several different compliments from residents in the township, so thank you very much.
Mrs. Gentek.
I'd also like to thank everyone for coming. Orlando, it was a great way to bring the community together. However, my 10-year-old also said they couldn't do without the kissing. Thank you.
Mrs. Strato.
Thank you everyone for coming out and also to those watching at home and seeing Orlando. Thank you for what you did with Red Tails.
Mr. McConnell.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and thank our residents and also the Black History Month Committee and the Lieutenant Colonel Seiler for helping support Red Tails. We had about 300 people there. And also to United Artists who gave us a deeply discounted rate and also the sponsor of the particular event. I'd like to thank them as well. For the last four Saturdays, members of council and the mayor have been attending our fire district's installation dinners throughout the town. And that gives us an opportunity to thank our firemen and women for the service they provide to our community. So when we see a firefighter, thank them. I call it fire installation season because every Saturday we're going to another fire installation. But that provides us access to our first responders and to thank them. So if you see them, thank them. And thank you for coming out this evening.
Mr. Bianchini.
I want to thank all the residents for coming out and attending tonight's meeting. I too want to thank Council Vice President Mercado for putting together that program for Black History Month. But I also want to remind everyone that to my right is a hero also, who's an African American who has served our country very, very well, and who's an inspiration, I know, to me and to many, many people. So thank you, Sam, for all that you've done for our country and for Gloucester Township over many, many years. I also wanted to thank Public Works for their response over the weekend. I know it wasn't a serious storm, but I know you had some patches there that you had to take care of, and thank you for always keeping the mayor involved and for keeping me up to date on what's going on. And please thank your men for a job well done. With that, I'd like to wish everyone a good night and ask for a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Thank you.
Set.